Chiefs are ready to accelerate out of the bye. It's all arrows up. How do they get ready, and what's the status getting ready for the 49ers today on Locked On Chiefs?
From the land of the free and the home of the Chiefs, this is the Locked On Chiefs podcast.
Welcome back, friends and neighbors, Chiefs Kingdom around the world. We are back. The Chiefs are out of the bye, and it is time to get started. We're brought to you today by Prize Picks. Go to prizepicks.com/LockedOnNFL and use our code. It's all lowercase LockedOnNFL to win $50 instantly when you play $5. We are going to get into it. Like Andy coming off the bye, we are hard to beat on a Monday when we get to just talk about this team. Where are they against these surging, what I feel are surging 49ers coming off of their game this week? Mini bye for them. What does that look like coming up later in the show? The stats that tell the story. Every aspect, a lot of rankings here where the Chiefs are making a lot of noise. We're going to walk you through all of those, and we will start with where this trade picture is because a lot of news came out over the weekend. I'm Ryan Tracy, the founder of Rogue Analytics and Performance Consulting, NFL33.com, and RGR Football. My partner, Chris Clark, runs KC Chiefs Corner, where you can get the cap, you can get the quarterback stats, everything that you're looking for over there. You can get us 5 days a week. Plus, here on YouTube, where I'd ask you to like this video and subscribe to the channel, and then get out to Spotify and Apple Music so you can get the audio side. You can also get us all the time at 816-357-8781. Get signed up there. This has been a fun weekend. Always something that distracts me when the Chiefs have bye. A little bit weird having it this early. I'm sure the team's in the same situation, but they generally accelerate out of the bye week very well. Andy's got the record, the whole 9 yards. This one's a little bit different because what we heard over the weekend is that trade rumors abound. That clock is ticking on the deadline, and the Chiefs are definitely players. They were in inquiring about Davante Adams. It now has been reported that they are out. So at least they did their due diligence and made an inquiry. I can't think that that was ever going to be a thing, but they're out on Davante Adams. Does that surprise you in any way?
No, and it doesn't surprise me for multiple reasons. Compensation that he's owed for the rest of the year is a huge issue. But really, the Raiders aren't going to trade him to Kansas City. The big thing that if I'm worried about Davante Adams, it's that the Raiders are going to try to do something to screw Kansas City, which would mean trading him to someplace like maybe Buffalo.
Yeah, which seems to be one of the leading destinations, right?
But they don't have to
terribly
actually
worried
see
about the Jets because the Jets can't seem to get out of their own way. Yeah, right. I'm not worried about the Jets because they can't seem to get out of their own way. Digging themselves holes out there. Oh, man. Yeah, it's a tough one. But I find it unlikely to think that he's going to play in Las Vegas going forward. We'll see what happens. In the meantime, there's one guy that's maybe a leader in the odds, and there's one guy that I just had an idea today that I would like to see kind of happen. It's a very long shot, but it could happen. We've gone over Amari Cooper. I don't see anything that's changed for me after another week. I do still think it's a viable thing if you want to do it. I'm not sure at this point, given the way that offense is starting to tick back across the league, that they feel that they have to go do that in order to be able to get through the rest of the regular season, hoping that Hollywood will return. And then obviously Rishi is just a total roll of the dice at this point. Do you feel after this weekend that it's more of an imperative or more of a we'll just see what happens kind of thing in terms of like the need at wide receiver?
I think they desperately need a wide receiver, and I do say desperately. I don't want to be too negative, but the reality is that they've lost their top two, and you lose another guy like Worthy, you lose Justin Watson, you lose anybody else in that wide receiver room, you're going to be in dire straits very, very quickly. And to me, that means that you need to bring somebody else in that could potentially step in and be a larger role. They're probably not going to be a guy that's going to step in and be somebody that's going to be helpful in the next 4 or 5 weeks, however long it takes them to get acclimated, but somebody that can be ready for week, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, and 18, and then get into the playoffs. Because the reality is even if you get Hollywood Brown, say you get him back the first week of the playoffs, he's not likely to be really ready to go and be ready to ramp up and be what you thought he was going to be. He may not get there before the Super Bowl. So to me, I think that they need to add somebody.
I like that concept. And an idea came to me today as I'm rambling around. And for those of you who don't know, NFL 33, we cover the whole league. You've seen me on Locked On NFL and all kinds of shows. So I do watch the rest of the league. And on weeks, especially like this, when the Chiefs either play late or they're not playing on a Sunday, I have 4 games up on the laptop and I have 4 games up on the TV. And I'm trying to take it all in at the same time. And I kept coming back to one game in particular that had a rookie quarterback start in. And I think Drake May actually made himself some points with their fan base. I don't really care about the Patriots fan base. That's fine. But I thought he gave some good effort. One thing that stood out to me there was that he still doesn't deliver a ball that Jalen Polk can evidently catch. I don't know why, but it got me thinking. I wanted Jalen Polk on this roster for the Chiefs because of what he can do in a similar role, being able to play all 3 positions, go across the middle. He's better speed than he is given credit for his size, and he's a sizable guy that would give them a boost and take them up out of the 5'10" range, right? And they don't seem to be able to use him or make it work, right? And I was thinking, hey, what if the Chiefs went and tried to get Jalen Polk out of New England and he got the juju bump, right? Because nobody seems to be able to do anything in the pass game in New England because it's New England. And if he came here, he might actually catch on and click in, and maybe we can right a draft wrong, at least in my opinion. What do you think of that concept?
I think you're stretching, but I like where your thought process is. I mean, I don't see them giving up a draft pick from this past draft. I would love to see it, but I don't think that that's going to be something that the Patriots are going to be willing to do, especially considering that they just started Drake May. And while he didn't play great, especially early on in the game, I thought he looked better as the game went on, and he made some plays. I mean, that touchdown pass to Keyshawn, was it Booty, however you pronounce his last name, that was a fantastic. I mean, that was a great deep shot. So I do think that there's something there, and I think that you have to look at how that's going to work out. I just don't know where else you're going to get a player. I would love to go get a rookie type, somebody that you could have for another year or two. I just don't really know that there's anybody out there that you could really do that for, and that's the big question. Although I will say, if you're going to go try to pry a rookie away from a team, can we throw a Hail Mary and try to go get Brian Thomas Jr. from the Jaguars?
Hey, I mean, they can't seem to do anything else, right? They might as well make a mistake on that one too, right?
Sorry, I couldn't resist.
We'll see.
Somebody else threw it at me on X, and I was just like, I can't resist throwing that out there because that'd be awesome.
Love the concept. Kudos to Caleb and Rome and even Keenan Allen. I hate to say that, but that's all right. But what's next? What stands out about where the Chiefs are that they can build on? The stats that really kind of illuminate where they're at, that's coming up next.
Your sex life is important, but your schedule is busy. You don't have the time to go to a doctor's office to get treated for ED. Through HIMS, you can get personalized ED treatment without stepping foot outside your door. HIMS is changing men's healthcare by providing you with access to affordable sexual health treatments from the comfort of your couch. The process is 100% online, so there's no need for uncomfortable doctor's visits. No insurance is needed, and one low price covers everything from treatments to ongoing care. With hundreds of thousands of trusted subscribers, HIMS can help you find the ED option that works for you. Start your free online visit today at hims.com/lockedon. That's hims.com/lockedon, hims.com/lockedon for your personalized ED treatment options. hims.com/lockedon. The products mentioned are chewable, compounded products which are not approved by or verified for safety or effectiveness by the FDA. Prescriptions require an online consultation. The products mentioned are chewable, compounded products which are not approved by or verified for safety or effectiveness by the FDA. Prescriptions require an online consultation with a healthcare provider who will determine if appropriate. Restrictions apply. See website for details and important safety information. Subscription required. Price varies based on product and subscription.
Our sponsor, Hilldale College, is offering more than 40 free, that's right, absolutely free online courses right now. And there's a ton to choose from, but they do include some of these. An introduction to free market economics. If you want to know some of the topics going on out there today, you can get on that. The Great American Story, the Land of Hope, and the rise and fall of the Roman Empire, all the way back in history. All of Hillsdale's courses are available and self-paced so that you can start whenever, you can tune in whenever, plus you can go over deeper with readings, quizzes, and discussions, and just enjoy the lecture. Right now, hillsdale.edu/lockedon is where you go to enroll. There's no cost, and it's easy to get started. It's hillsdale.edu/locked-on to register. That's hillsdale.edu/locked-on. When it comes to breaking down each part of the season, we generally go through the same group of stats: passing completion, QBAR, pass rush rate. It comes, I think, back and forth. It comes down to a couple of other scenarios that do help you. And one thing that I want to go over is the individual pieces. We always talk about how nebulous offensive production is. And I wanted to get your opinion on a couple of stats that I found in looking around those people that really do break it all down by player, by position by position. And pass block, obviously, is what the Chiefs want to get done. If I asked you, if you were surprised that this player ended up being the highest rated and in the top 12 in the league, but the highest rated in Kansas City in offensive tackle, pass block win rate, and as Jawan Taylor's number 12 in the league, would that surprise you? Or is that what you would expect?
No, it's what I expect. I think he's played very well this season. I know people are very frustrated with the penalties, and I get that. But he still played very well. I mean, he has done what he needs to do when it comes to blocking. Yes, you wish you get rid of the penalties. Yes, you wish you get rid of the false starts and the holds. But be fair about it. Holds are going to happen. I mean, that's part of the NFL game. You're going to get those called. And if it wasn't for his false start penalties, honestly, I don't think that you'd see people really complaining about him. And the false start thing is just something that you're going to have with him. My big care and my big thing with him is he has to be consistent. He has to keep Mahomes upright. And if he's doing well in pass rush win rate, which from what I've seen, he has been. So this does not surprise me. I think that he's in a good situation and Kansas City's in a great spot with that, because the other side of that is you look at the other tackle position and the left tackle position, and you're really struggling at that position no matter who you've played there. And that is a big problem going into this next game against the 49ers.
Yeah, and I think that's clarified even more by the fact that while Jawan's getting up there in the rankings on the offensive tackle side, the rest of the O-line is doing well as well, at least in certain aspects. Right now, interior linemen pass rush block win rates. Creed is number 4 in this league, and Joe Thuney's number 5. So you have top 5 players at 2 of the interior position, right? I was going to say Thuney might be getting a little bit of a benefit of the lift there. I don't know, but still rated in there. Mitch Morse, ex-Chief, is still one of the guys up ahead of them as well. And while Trey has had a couple of problems with the pass block, Trey is also highly, highly ranked on being able to run block from the interior O-line. I think he is certainly currently sitting at number 4 in run block win rate. And that is kind of the resurgence of what this offense has become, right? So in one aspect or another, maybe it's not as well-rounded as we like, but each of the 4 other offensive linemen on this starting unit are in the top tiers of their respective resources. It really is just that left tackle that you have to try to shore up. Everyone's going to have plays that they get beat on here or there, right? But the one weak link is that youth that's over on the left tackle spot.
Yeah, and I think when you look at what Kansas City's going to have to do, and I think one of the reasons that I talked about, or one of the things that we talked about last week, and one of the things I'm excited about is when you bring in a guy like Jody Fortson and you get to a point where you can run more 13 personnel, you can run more 14 personnel, you can run 14 personnel because most teams aren't going to be doing that. You're in a situation where you can have a tight end lined up next to whoever that tackle is, and you can help chip. You can help, make whoever's on the outside edge go even further outside, so your tackle has a chance to set and get ready for it, coming in. So, I mean, there's lots of different things you can do, and I think that that's one thing that they're going to need to work on, and they're going to need to get figured out for the rest of the season. But the reality is that Patrick Mahomes in this offense can work well enough. And we're talking about offensive line win rates, but the interesting thing to me is they've shown that they have the ability to win with only 3 or 4 guys going out in pass sets. And the reason I bring that up is because go back and watch some of their bigger pass plays. They have either a tight end or sometimes even Sky Moore as an additional blocker of some sort, somewhere on the field. That deep shot to Worthy against the Chargers, Sky Moore was picking up a guy off the edge, and Creed Humphrey came out and helped him. The whole reason that's a big issue is because that shows that you can still win. You can still be effective with only 3 or 4 guys going out in a route. It's not what you want, but you can do it and you can make it work.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's no surprise that when you look at win rates per blocking as offensive line units, the Chiefs are number 1 in the league in pass blocking win rate, and they are number 2 in the league in run blocking win rate. And that brings us the balance that we're there. On the defensive side, it's not as cut and dry. Kudos to one Chris Jones. I don't think anybody's super surprised to be that he is number 2 at the interior defensive tackle pass rush win rate, led only by Zach Allen. So I do think there's more of a team dynamic on the defensive side and a little bit less specifically, but Chris is the leader, and there's never going to be any doubt about that.
Yeah, and that's going to be a huge matchup when they take on the Broncos here in a couple of weeks. Zach Allen versus the interior of this offensive line. Looking forward to that matchup. But where's Turk on that? Because I'm sure he's probably up there in interior too.
As ESPN lists it, he is not on that list.
Wow, that's surprising.
And I do believe there is a minimum threshold, but that number is not listed in this metric that ESPN puts out in their analytics department, folks. You can go look at it yourself as well. And my guess is he doesn't meet the minimum number of rushes, but that's just me trying to interpret why he's not on this list.
Because he's been fantastic
now,
this
if you're
year.
Just looking at, he has. In fact, when I looked last week, he was number 11. So I've been trying to track this through, and maybe it's just that something went wrong here with the number of snaps this week as it's listed. We'll see if he pops back up there next week.
Well, yeah, and it's also possible that they up their snaps every single week, and since the Chiefs only have 5 games, that could possibly play into this. So
I don't think it's anything to be concerned about, but we'll keep an eye on that, and we'll keep an eye on what's going on in San Francisco. They're starting to pick up speed. They're getting some guys back. They're playing a little bit better just in time to see the Chiefs. They're on a mini bye, and the Chiefs get the full bye. What does it look like coming up next? PrizePicks is America's number 1 daily fantasy sports app with over 5 million active users. It's the easiest and most exciting way to play daily fantasy sports. And unlike other apps, PrizePicks, you just bet you against the numbers. Super simple. All you have to do is go more or less on 2 to 6 players of your choosing in a projection and watch the winnings roll in. Right now, they're giving you a deal. Caleb Williams, 1 yard. We've seen this deal for Patrick Mahomes before. Every week in September, that's right. You only need 1 yard to get a win right there. 4 weeks for free W's is what you're looking for over on PrizePicks. I really love that one. I love the over-under on Patrick Mahomes because it's about targets versus yards, and you can always get something that's Chiefs-related as well. So check it out. Download the PrizePicks apps right now. Use our code LOCKEDONNFL, and you get $50 instantly when you play $5. That's code LOCKEDONNFL on PrizePicks to get $50 instantly when you play $5. You don't even need to win to receive that $50 bonus. It's guaranteed. PrizePicks, run your game. Make sure you run your game all the way over to Locked On NFL and check that out. They are now twice a day on that feed. And you can get us at 816-357-8781 on our daily feed from our text line. I appreciate you locos being there every single day. And when you look at the 49ers, they're coming off of a mini bye. They got to play on Thursday night. Obviously, the Chiefs are fully rested. When you take a look at the matchup comparisons, just like in terms of efficiency ranks, and this is one of the things that NFL Pro does pretty well, when the Chiefs have the ball, like the overall passing efficiency is pretty down for them, right? They're number 9, whereas the 49ers are number 14 in the defensive passing efficiency rate. And so that really gives the Chiefs a mild advantage, but it's not dramatic, especially when it comes to pressure rate. They do have a huge advantage there where they're able to sustain the number 2 in picking up the efficiency when they're rushed, in particular blitz, whereas the 49ers are running at like 25. But that's over the course of the season. This week, if you got to see that game, they started to put some things together. And I feel like that really is the tail of the tape in getting Deebo Samuel going again. George Kittle went off again. Getting back, despite the lack of CMC, they can still run the ball. And this is going to be a 49ers team that is ready and I think still a little scarred from the last Super Bowl or 3, that they're going to want some revenge. Am I putting too much into it? Or do they still have too many gaps to fill, in your opinion?
No, I don't think that you're putting too much into it. CMC is not going to be there. The big question I have is going to be who's their running back going to be. We won't know until later this week. Their running back went out with an injury. I think he came back in, but I could have sworn even after he came back in, he ended up going back out. So we'll have to see how that ends up. Obviously, a couple extra days rest, maybe he's able to go. But if they don't have their second running back behind CMC, that hurts them a little bit more, because one thing that you need to be able to do against Kansas City is you need to be able to run the ball. You need to be able to move it, or at least give the look of being able to run the ball, because Kansas City hasn't allowed rushers to get going so far this season. And so to me, if you don't even have the threat of the run and they know you're going to have to pass to try to beat them, I think that changes things. And the big thing, you look back early in the season, Kansas City was getting beat pretty bad by tight ends, but going up against George Kittle, they haven't had that issue. So I'm really curious to see how that's going to turn out this next week with the Chiefs versus the Niners.
I agree. And, between all the running backs, they put up 190 yards rushing last week against the Seahawks. The Chiefs have been excellent against the run this year.
Yep.
So while I agree, it'd be interesting to see if Garendo gets some run. I liked him coming out of college, so they might get a look, and he does run with more power. I think the Chiefs are well prepared for that. It's, for me, understanding how to take away Kittle and Samuel. Clearly the two guys that make the engine run. Chiefs have been pretty good at doing that. I think they'll get theirs. But for me, it's dealing with Ayuk and Jennings. And we're going to talk more about all these matchups later in the week, folks. We have another detailed show for you tomorrow. Then Derek joins us on Wednesday. We're going to have the crossover with the guys over on Locked On 49ers on Thursday, and we will have our game preview for you for Friday. So make sure you're there. But it's not like the superstars that I'm the most worried about. It's the guys that fill the gaps, like Jennings, who they did some crazy stuff last time. I think they're going to put that in the game plan yet again.
Yeah, but you look at what Ayuk has done for the 49ers this year, and it hasn't been great. I mean, 2 catches for 37 yards this past week for a guy that looked like he was going to be a monster for him in previous years. He hasn't had the season that you would expect him to have so far. His total season, 23 catches for on 41 targets for 351 yards. I mean, that's in 6 games. He hasn't even gotten over 400 yards yet. Not what you would expect from a guy that got paid what he ended up getting paid. And we'll see what happens. Jennings is definitely a problem. He caused Kansas City problems in the Super Bowl, but when you're going up against a team like the 49ers who have different weapons at all different levels, because you start looking at the wide receivers, Deebo Samuel, Ayuk, Jennings, Kittle, and then, you have CMC, but you also had Mason coming out of the backfield. Mason's been fantastic running for him, and Garendo, we'll see whether or not he's the guy that's going to start this week. But the reality is you have to be able to stop him on all levels, and that is a tall task. And if the 49ers are finally getting into shape, that's going to be a little bit of a problem going into this game. But Kansas City's defense has played them enough times to have a pretty good idea as to what's going on, and their offense isn't going to be hugely changed from the last time they played them in the Super Bowl, and they were able to get it done. Defensively, Kansas City's defense is going to be a little different because they don't have Snead, but Jalen Watson's been playing very well. So how is that going to play into all of this? I mean, the storyline's writing itself. It's going to be a question whether or not Kansas City can score more than it really will be, I think, on the 49ers defense or offense.
Agreed. And they didn't give up a whole lot of yardage. The 49ers defense, Fred Warner in particular, I thought played really well last week. Didn't give up a whole lot of yardage on the run game. The Chiefs are a much more formidable run attack than the Seahawks were. It led to Geno Smith throwing 52 passes. If the Chiefs get into that territory, it's a bad sign, because he threw for over 300 yards and still wasn't able to win that ball game. So I think balance is still the key here, because you got to keep the Niners on their toes on offense and defense.
Yeah, but 52 passes and 300 yards isn't a great game. That's fair. 6 yards an attempt. That's not productive. That's not what you want. He threw 52 passes, but he only completed 30 of them. So, almost a 50%, obviously a little more than a 50% completion percentage, but still, that's not a great passing game, and you don't want to have to throw that ball that many times. I guarantee you if Mahomes throws for 52, it's going for probably over 400 yards just because I think that's the way he plays. I don't expect them to go to 52 pass attempts. I hope not, because I'd like to see them be able to run the ball.
And we're going to talk about balance as it comes, not only tomorrow, but definitely in our Friday preview. We're going to check in with Matt. We're going to check in with the guys in San Francisco and give you the lowdown. So don't miss a thing. Like, sub, hit the bell here on this channel right now. Make sure you get over to the audio side on Spotify and Apple Music as well. We're going to have a great week, and this is just the first step forward in the Chiefs' acceleration post-bye. It's a long road to get to the end of the regular season, but they are going to do it and get ready for that three-peat run. So thanks for being with us. We appreciate you spending your time and your minutes listening, whether you're on your way to work, whether you're on your way home, working out, or whatever it is. Thanks for being with us. Thank you for being a subscriber. We appreciate you, and we'll talk to you tomorrow.